Hi, welcome into the Get Current, Stay Current webcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I think you're going to find the next several minutes is time well spent, some really good information. The guy that's going to pass that along to you is the VP of Sales and Marketing for SMBSuite, Michael McDonald. And Mike, thanks for taking a little time out of your oh-so-busy day.
Not at all. Thanks, Mike.
A lot of people, Mike, don't even really get what the cloud is all about. So I want to start, if you could give us kind of a brief overview of the cloud and maybe touch on some of the benefits that are most recognizable for someone who's thinking of making the move to the cloud.
Sure. So put simply, or speaking in more general terms, the cloud is essentially computing that's internet-based, where rather than you, the business owner, having to endure the cost of acquiring, maintaining, and the management of this infrastructure, there are world-class data centers out there that offer large groups of remote servers that are safely networked to allow for a centralized data storage and a BYOD, or bring your own device, access to hundreds of different computing services and various other resources. I guess I would say some of the benefits of that are a more simple, affordable model to obtain this level of computing capability, the added security and scalability of this model. So when we leave it to the experts to commoditize, if you will, this sort of infrastructure, we can focus more on our respective business or organizational missions.
And I think in this day and age especially, some people may be concerned about security, but that's not as big a deal these days, is it?
Well, it's certainly a big deal. It's just not
Sure.
arguably as much of a concern to the average consumer anymore. It would cost tens of thousands of dollars for the average business to try to emulate the level of security that these world-class data centers offer now as a service. So that's the beauty of the cloud, is that now it's not a burden anymore on the business owner. It's something that you can simply subscribe to and leave to the experts.
All right, to a business owner, Mike, a CFO, it's all about money, right? So talk a little bit about how SMBSuite compares to a traditional on-premise, and maybe walk us through some of the savings that a client could realize, everything from startup costs to maintenance and support.
Right, and I know today the plan is to focus more on the annual maintenance fees that are included in the subscription, and that's really just it. It's included in the subscription. I don't know if it was a Prego commercial. It's in there is their slogan. This is kind of the same thing. It's in there. So we try to roll every conceivable cost that you would otherwise pay separately or would otherwise be a volatile cost point. We roll it into a predictable monthly subscription, including the annual maintenance. And so to a CFO or a controller or a business owner that cares about the company's finances and what they can and can't budget against, this is a dream come true, because a true cloud subscription model that has AIS, or an all-inclusive subscription structure to it, takes that risk and the inability to predict out of the equation and simplifies it for you.
All this and the unexpected Prego reference. Maintenance has become kind of a dirty word, Mike. I mean, obviously maintenance costs can just pile up. And again, if you're a small and medium-sized business, this is a tremendous headache. Talk to me a little about what maintenance fees are and why they can pile up so quickly.
Right. So simply put, maintenance fees are a percentage of your software license value that you have to pay back to the provider on an annual basis typically. What they'll use these funds for are ongoing software development and software update, hot fixes, patches that you'll receive to keep your software solution running in optimal performance, if you will. The tiers that Microsoft Dynamics offers, as far as the levels of maintenance fees that you would have to pay, are 16% on an annual basis on the low end, 18% in the middle, and 25% on the high end. The difference between those three tiers are simply how much access will you have to Microsoft's technical support team, or to the support desk. The top tier gives you unlimited, the middle tier gives you a handful, the bottom tier just gives you the updates and the patches and whatnot.
But then there's that scenario where you've got a company that, again, has so much on its plate and in terms of budget may not be able to keep up and pay those costs. What happens if a customer decides that they can't? It's not that they don't want to, but maybe it's just cost prohibitive.
Well, and to be perfectly honest, sometimes they don't want to.
Okay, I was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. But.
Yeah, no, I mean it's very burdensome, and it can be average, system software list price that I've seen in the small to medium sized business space is about $50,000 or so. Let's just go with that, right? And to use the back of the napkin math, let's just say 20%. Is your right down the middle of 16, 18, 25%, on the average 20%.
Right.
So that's $10,000 a year, right? On average that you might have to spend just for access to the Microsoft Technical Support Desk that you may or may not ever need because you're getting some ample support through your partner. And then really it's just for the software updates and access to customer source. So what happens if you don't pay that or you lapse on that? Well, you just essentially get cut off. You won't have access to customer source, which is a plethora of information and useful tools that end users can leverage to maximize their investment in Microsoft Dynamics platforms they have. You won't have access to the technical support desk. Again, neither here nor there, perhaps. But the bigger thing is that you won't have access to the software updates. These fees actually go into the product development efforts for continued updates and hot fixes and patches. You won't be able to add any additional users if you need them along the way. You won't be able to add any additional modules or functionality along the way. So it really shackles the business owner. If they decide along the way that they need any of the aforementioned, then they have to get current by paying all the back pay. On top of that, Microsoft will penalize you an additional 3% on whatever your rate was in order to get current. Now Microsoft has ran programs that were like, we'll just pay 50% of your back pay, and we'll waive that 3% penalty. But nonetheless, it's still, I've seen cases where it was cheaper for the end user to just buy the system all over again than it was just to get current on maintenance.
So the bottom line, though, is here you've got this, again, what can be a tremendous hardship to a small and medium-sized business owner, these maintenance fees.
Yep.
And you're eliminating that problem. I mean, that's an enormous headache that's going away.
Yeah, so all gimmicks and sales pitches aside, this is truly a model that will give the end user a get-out-of-jail-free card, if you want to say it that way. By simply migrating over to this model, they are free from having to suffer annual maintenance costs. Whether they're lapsed, whether they're current, doesn't matter. They're freed from that because they enter into a subscription that includes it all, and they stay compliant.
Not to mention the free upgrade services that are available simply by migrating to this cloud subscription model, and the ongoing free upgrades that are available by simply just being on this model. I know we're going to talk about that in a later webcast of this series, but I also wanted to throw that in there as well.
Yeah, you kind of beat me to the punch because I was going to mention that this is part one of a 3-part series. Part 2 is going to be about the free upgrades, and then part 3 is going to be about how potential clients can stay current and how that obviously is going to make them more competitive.
In their respective marketplaces, absolutely. Yep.
So let's talk a bit more about the SMBSuite offering. I mean, what exactly does it look like?
Well, so ways that we're truly changing the status quo, or as I like to say, being remarkably disruptive to our marketplace, is the way that we allow our end users to access their system. So I talked about it earlier about the OneView portal, single sign-on capabilities, role-tailored dashboards, having just a fully integrated ERP, CRM, business intelligence reporting, best-in-class industry-specific interfaces at your fingertips. And also giving back control to the end user, offer self-service tools too. So wanting to add users or deduct users as you go along, making sure that you're properly licensed the way you need to be licensed. We give some of that control back to the end user as well.
I don't know if you've noticed this, Mike, but I have been taking notes. And I want to make sure that I've got everything down. So basically what you're saying is You offer the SMB OneView portal. It's got the single sign-on user experience and role-based dashboards, the integrated Office 365 with business intelligence reporting tools, integrated Dynamics GP and CRM core platforms, plus, as if that wasn't enough, best-in-class industry-specific interfaces and self-service capabilities. Did I get that all right?
Sure did. I think the other thing, too, that sets us apart and allows us to be disruptive is our investment model, if you will, the OneView subscription. This is something that's entirely different, where we have, every conceivable cost point that goes into the hardware infrastructure, maintenance, management of that environment, as well as the applications, the platforms, how you pay for the licensing and the ongoing support and training, upgrades, and the theme of today's webcast, maintenance, annual maintenance,
Absolutely.
all included in that subscription. Fixed, dependable, predictable, and you can spread that out. We have terms as long as 36 months.
So, Mr. or Mrs. business owner sitting out there watching this, and they're thinking, this all sounds great, but I don't know if it's going to fit my budget. Maybe I need a more robust solution, but I'm not sure if I can afford it. But it sounds like what you're offering them is enterprise-grade solutions, but maybe without the enterprise-grade costs and complexity. Is that kind of it?
That's spot on. It's not maybe, it's absolutely. And I like that. Enterprise-grade solutions, technologies without the enterprise-grade cost and complexity. If you don't mind, I think we might use that in one of our next marketing slicks.
You can use it. I've got a crack staff. What can I tell you?
All right.
All right. So if people want more information, Mike, how do they go about getting it?
Yeah, sure. So on the screen, there should be my email address and direct phone line. Feel free to reach out right now if you'd like. Again, 469-351-2140 is my direct line. MacDonald, MacDonald at SMBSuite.com. If they're not ready to engage with us directly yet, they can simply visit us online at SMBSuite.com.
All right. Well, Mike, appreciate it very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.